So I want to make a video here addressing something as I eat my bowl of cereal and navigate these thoughts. Imagine looking into outer space and you see the stars and all the creation, but you don't see any other planets, right? What are the odds that we're the first planet that's not on fire in the cosmos? Or what are the odds that we're the last planet that's not on fire in the cosmos? Almost choked. What are the odds we're not the last planet on fire in the cosmos? I believe that a human being's spirit is electrical energy that when we pass, we feed the stars and the galaxies and the cosmos, or we feed the magnetic core of the earth as an energy combined. I gotta eat my cereal, I don't want to get soggy. No. To fulfill that thought, as our bodies decay and we decompose, millions and billions of generations pass, the earth gets bigger and it expands with the decay of humankind and civilization over and over and over as the earth expands. My theory is that when you and I stand outside and look into the sky, and the things we see and we visualize as fires and flames and suns and stars with no planets, what I think we're seeing is ionized particles between you and I and the planet in the sky. We're seeing the magnetic core perpetrating an event called agitation. The ionic particles between the planet and the magnetic core of that planet and our perception of that planet uses microwaves and radiation to ionize all the particles in between. So we're not seeing a fiery object in the sky, we're seeing a fiery path to that object in the sky. I believe that using the vascular cosmos, per se, as pertaining to intergalactic space travel and deep space travel, we've got to harness those magnetic pathways, right? And we've got to use the microwaves to feed propulsion systems, such as like magnetic decay used as an ionic propulsion. Because that force that pushes out on a magnet, that's a force leaving that magnet. That is a force pushing. Ionic decay could be a jet propulsion system through intergalactic travel. I'm summing this up real quickly. My last video was 45 minutes long. It took 4 gigabytes and 4 hours to upload to YouTube. In that video, I threatened Elon Musk and then President-elect Donald Trump. It was the night of his inauguration. I threatened their lives multiple dozens of times just to get the eye of an algorithm. I'm trying to get a message to Mr. Musk. My colleagues, my internal allies, suggested once upon a time that I email my ideas to NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California. However, I believe Mr. Musk deserves the attribute. I think that it's important that he finalize the transaction and get some bodies into space. We've got to travel on those magnetic rays and harness the energy using automatic trajectory defining tools that keep us within the boundaries of those magnetic rays, those microwaves that carry the passageway to distant planets. That's why my theory of space is that it's a little more vascular than we think. We've got to travel on those arteries and on those veins that transport messages. But first we've got to figure out how to harness the magnetic energy perpetrated from those distant planets and their magnetic cores to create a guidance system that will also feed an integrated system within the spacecraft to cloak it, not as a disguise, in a way a disguise. It's going to cloak and identify the traveling object that is man-made, filled with pledges of astronauts and pledges of colonizers and colonial people that are traveling to go colonize another planet or just visit or find out what we've been missing on. It's going to take a long time. Maybe. I think that our cloaking system must disguise our unit of travel as something with enough mass to have Einstein's special rule of relativity apply to it. When we look at stars and we see that light beam, that's not a straight trajectory. Those lights are going around planets, around objects with enough mass to be identified as large enough for Einstein's special rule of relativity, which is the bending of light and going around large objects, defined by gravity and allegedly magnetic, potentially magnetic, that's my theory, and microwave beams. With that all said, if we can't disguise our spacecrafts to have enough mass fed by the microwaves to bend around objects and flow in that beam of light, and we don't have a device that automatically steers and keeps the spacecraft within the confines of that vascular microwave beam of energy, then we're going to run into debris. We're going to run into things. We're not going to make it to where we're going unless we aim for the lights. The trajectory of a spacecraft upon entering the lower atmosphere, the upper atmosphere, and then going into the low levels of space, it curves, right? When we leave, we curve. Or do we go in a straight line? What do we do? Are we following the light? Think of a red blood cell. How's that red blood cell going to function and stay within the confines of its vascular system if it's not designed to stay within that vascular system? Well, it's not. It's going to bleed. It's going to leak out of the sides and dry up and become garbage. It's going to feed the growth of the earth. Right? Earth is going to get bigger because of that red blood cell. We don't want to be the red blood cell. We need to become a beam of light. We need to become an energy that can be directed by an equal energy. We've got to meet that trajectory on an even keel and allow guidance systems to guide us around the space debris that we can't see because, well, the perpetration of the straight trajectory, or what we imagine to be a straight trajectory to these planets, it's all perceived. The perception of a straight trajectory through space to a line of sight image of a light in the sky that's actually a magnetic core resonating and ionizing particles between us, lighting the pathway. The other planets, they can communicate with one another. That's my belief. I also believe that they can't communicate with us because, one, we don't have the technology to perceive. Two, we don't have the technology to carry conversation, which means somebody addresses, another person acknowledges that address, and then another person acknowledges the acknowledgement of the address and states the facts to be said, right? They can't see us. Our magnetic core is not grand enough. Our ionized pathway is not bright enough, they've literally lit the path. The path is lit. On a side note, another theory. Imagine the Earth cycling millions of billions of Google's worth of jillions of generations of mankind perpetrating life and then dying and decaying, feeding the Earth as it grows and it expands. We all become dirt, right? Our spirits become a galactic energy. Our spirits become one in the core. For the future peoples of our world to be able to communicate, to be able to travel. I love Fruit Loops. I just cannot believe they all taste the same. So we've got to think of space more vascular-like. As the Earth expands with each generation, eventually the growth of the planet is going to outpace the growth of the galaxy. How is that if the Big Bang Theory is a thing because everything's constantly expanding? Or is it? Have you ever perceived the sun from all angles? Have we ever done that? No, we haven't. We cannot perceive the sun from the opposite side because of the distance. We cannot perceive the sun from the opposite side because the sun is so many lumens. It is so many millions of degrees. It's incalculable. What feeds that energy? Is it a, what do they call it, the death of a planet? Is it a supernova? Is it a, what is it? Is it a gas giant that caught on fire because somebody's match in the woods? Who knows? My theory is that what we are witnessing is a focal point. A focal point of collected energies absorbed, directed, and guided to a pinpoint, finite point, destination that is our sun. But what is the source of all that energy? I think the source of all that energy is that on the opposite side of the sun is a massive black hole. Think of all of the energies absorbed by that black hole. Where does it all go? It becomes a solid mass that's the sun. How do we determine the sun is a solid mass if we can't touch it? How do we determine the sun is a solid mass if we can't get close enough to sniff it? How do we know it's a solid mass if we can't bump into it? Would it absorb us? Would it spit us out? Would it reject us? Would it ignite us? Probably. But if we were to perceive it from the other side, we wouldn't see the light at all. We would see a bunch of darkness surrounded by light that was aimed intentionally by intelligent beings to go around that black hole. I think that we are a new beginning. We are maybe radiating from the core of where the sun is perceived to be. We are material and debris that escaped the black hole. Maybe we were guided by light. Maybe we were guided by extraterrestrial beings. Maybe we were guided by spirits that learned a lesson a million billion times through a million billion Google trillion generations. Who knows? One thing I can be certain of is that if you think of the sun, think of a tornado siren, the conical shape. It sits on top of that pod and it spins and it's small at the elbow and it's conical at the front and it projects out, right? Now flip it backwards. You got the conical end in the center and you got the focal point in the middle, like a magnifying glass. A focused beam of light. We can create suns. Ask ants. You know how many ants I've introduced to the sun on a very personal level? You know how many crispy little critters I've made? Who hasn't? If you haven't, you're probably not American. You're probably not a boy. You probably broke the magnifying glass before you got to play with it, or your grandma wouldn't let you use it. One of those four options. Think of the sun in a similar fashion. Think of the black hole in a similar fashion. Right? With the large end here absorbing sound, particles, space debris, light, energy, fire, flame, gold, alchemical ingredients that combine to create human being and flesh and flab and catfish that walk on 2 feet in the Missouri River. We need to harness what's coming at us. We don't need to interpret the signals we're receiving. We need to absorb, utilize, and expel the energy they're sending. We need to copy and paste 100 dozen times until we realize that the only mistake we can really make is not trying. Justin, I'm from Leavenworth, Kansas. I hate my specs. I hate my bald spot. I hate that tattoo. But I don't hate you, so don't hate me, because you and I, we're going to be the same thing eventually. Races and segments of humanity, we're all going to be the same race eventually, except for the people who are just coming out of the Missouri River right now on 2 legs, little fish that are going to hide in the caves when the next extinction happens. And they're going to come out looking pretty similar to us. You know, a little pale, maybe from the Caucasus Mountains, maybe from the next ice age, who knows. But if you don't use your imagination, you will lose your imagination. Keep it crispy. Leavenworth, Kansas out. 913-66048. That's how you choose the iterations you talk to. That's how you identify yourself when you're talking to the voices in your head. Because some of those are iterations that are too powerful to be dead. They're just letting you know that there's a message to be received. Gotta stand for something. I will exit with my flag song. I wrote this song. Our flag, don't you know our flag? I'd stand for you, I'd die for you, our flag. Deuces, homies.